Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the Digital Forensics and Cybersecurity Virtual Information Session. My name is Tom Kresh. I'm our Director of Enrollment Communications. Really appreciate everybody joining us on a Wednesday night. I know there's a lot of other places you could be right now. You probably have other priorities. You probably have sports, or you have work, or you have extracurricular activities, but you're choosing to spend your time here with us. So we really, truly do appreciate that. Whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording, obviously, please do not hesitate to contact Dr. Snyder and I, should you have any questions. During the live event, I'll be monitoring the chat and the Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to put them in there. I know Dr. Snyder has a great presentation that he's going to be going through, and then we'll have an open Q&A there at the end. But before we go any further, Dr. Snyder, would you mind introducing yourself and letting us know a little bit about who you are as a faculty member, what was your path to CU Bloomsburg, and any experience you might have teaching in the field?
Sure. So, as mentioned, my name is Larry Snyder. I'm an associate professor here at Bloomsburg University. I came to Bloomsburg University in the fall of 2018, and I've been here obviously ever since. Prior to that, I taught at a private college in Western Massachusetts. It was actually, they hired me to teach and run their graduate program in cybersecurity management. But while I was there, I had the opportunity to create some undergraduate programs, because the undergraduate program at that university was all women. So it was kind of a unique experience to offer, cybersecurity degree program for all women, which is in a largely underrepresented population in the field of digital forensics. So that was exciting, and it was interesting to do. And so I was there for about 5 years, and prior to that, I taught in the SUNY system, which is the State University of New York system. I actually launched a program at a community college there in 2004 and taught there for probably 10 years. But prior to that, I came out of credit card industry, banking industry, where I worked in fraud management and online banking, cybersecurity. Online banking was my primary focus before I got the urge to teach. And probably one of the best career moves I made was to teach, because it's always been fun, and I still enjoy it. So that's all about me, and that's probably more than you need to know. The digital forensics program here at Bloomsburg University has been around for a long time. I think it actually started in 2003 or 2004. It kind of birthed out of the computer science and mathematics department, where it's still housed. We're part of the College of Science and Technology. So we got a little presentation today, just a few slides, just general information about digital forensics program and the cybersecurity program. And obviously, it's designed to spur some questions. So feel free to ask any questions that you have. It's going to look a little odd. I'm at home, so I've got monitors in some odd places. So if I'm not, I'm trying to not stare at the camera, which happens to be right above the screen that I got to read about the presentation. So hopefully it doesn't cause too many problems. But anyway, let's just get into it, and we'll go from there, if that's all right. And
yeah, no, perfect.
We'll see what comes out of it. So the digital forensics program, as I mentioned, has been around for quite some time. It's actually it's grown considerably. We prior to COVID, I think we were floating around 200 and maybe 50 students. But post-COVID, like everyone else, we had a little bit of a dip. But this year we had a really good year with new freshmen, and that's exciting for us, because when we get new students in, we have a tendency to learn about some of the things that maybe we didn't understand or didn't necessarily grasp, and how people are using technology. And we love having big student population in our program. So I think we're right around, we must be over 300 now, maybe getting close to 350, which is really nice for our program. We do enjoy that. What is digital forensics? Digital forensics is everything that you've heard about on TV. It's and more and less, and similar but different. We talk about the program is. Oh, hold on here, I'm jumping around a little bit. Our program really focuses on teaching students how to use tools and technologies to solve problems. Sometimes the problems are related to what one might expect to be, like typical criminal type of issues, who did this or who did that. But sometimes it's also about data exfiltration, or how did an organization leak data, or and it could also be about, well, some malware or intrusion response types of things. So we kind of look at all of that, and we very much focus on making sure our students not only understand what digital forensics is, but can actually do it. We have a philosophy of hands-on, activities. All of our classes that are all of our major related classes are experiential learning, where we don't just lecture at you. We expect that you're going to be able to touch the tools and do the things that we talk about. And that's from the very first course, our introduction to digital forensics, our files one class, all the way through our capstone course. We expect that you're going to be, jumping into the program and really embracing all the tools and technologies that we use in class.
And Dr. Snyder, just a follow-up question for you. So I know, one of the more common questions we get is, all right, digital forensics and cybersecurity, how similar is that to computer science? And it seems like, based on my own, very novice understanding, is on the spectrum of computer science and criminal justice is probably somewhere in the middle. Does that sound about right?
Yep. So, there are some courses that you will take that come from the computer science program or computer science field. We're going to expect that you're going to do a little bit of programming. We require that you take Python programming and some things like database design. So we expect that you're going to have that, or we will teach you and you will learn that. And at the same time, we also encourage you to take some courses in criminal justice. All of our students do an introduction to criminal justice, and it is kind of a blend. And it's a little bit of both, but it's a lot of other stuff too, right? We want you to think about things like how human beings interact with technology, and how devices function. So a little bit of computer science, a little bit of CJ, and then a whole lot of how do devices work, and how can we use those devices not only to solve issues, but explore them and understand what happens when you go out on the internet and you browse around on the internet, or you make a document. How does that impact the device itself? So you don't have to be a computer science driven person to be very successful in this program. And just like you don't have to necessarily want to work for the police department to be successful and have a life, making a career out of cybersecurity or digital forensics. There's lots of other things to do. Which kind of leads to this slide, right? So some of the things that you do: examine computers and smartphones, look for and recover deleted images, deleted documents, understand how to take internet activity and turn it into timelines, and talk about what happens. We do things like look at intrusion detection, and we have classes in penetration testing and malware analysis, all those things that, yeah, I guess you kind of typically associate with computer related instances. That's what we do here, right? That's the approach that we've taken. And you do have the opportunity to kind of specialize. You can specialize in digital forensics, or you can kind of take a cybersecurity path, and it usually happens about your junior year, where you decide what area you want to focus in, and then you choose your electives according to what you're interested in. Is it a good fit for you? Do you like solving puzzles, right? I think if you're a natural analytical person, where you're inquisitive and you like to find solutions, that's probably the biggest plus, right? That's the attribute that I think is most important. The other things, cyber criminals, investigating cyber crimes, sure, that's an aspect of it, but there's lots of other things that require, that analytical problem solving mind within the field, like risk analysis and risk management, and talking about incident response or disaster recovery, business continuity, all these things that are within the field, or within that big circle of cybersecurity and digital forensics. So, if you want to do this for working in criminal justice, there's a great path for you. But if you want to work in corporate America, and you want to look at, how can I help an organization survive a disaster, whether it's a ransomware attack or a hurricane, there's a role for you there too in this field, and that's the beauty of it is you can take your interest, whether it's I want to program and design tools, or I want to solve crime, or whatever it is, and craft kind of your own career path here within this giant umbrella of cybersecurity. We are a designated center of excellence in cyber defense education from the Department of Defense and NSA, which that translates to you as an opportunity to get some scholarship money out of it. We have really good success in our students getting winning competitive scholarship. That's I think I don't want to misquote, but I think it's $10,000 or $15,000 a year. I don't quote me on that, but it's enough to pay tuition and living expenses for the year, I think.
Well, and the other thing too is Dr. Steiner, there's now also the CU Thrive in STEM scholarship program as well. So our College of Science and Technology was awarded a National Science Foundation grant for like, I want to say it's around 2.5 million. And part of that 2.5 million is meant to fund scholarships, right? So that's basically your academic success in high school could potentially be rewarded through the form of scholarship dollars, in addition to the merit scholarships that we would provide through the admissions office too. So and part of that is just this is a field that's in high demand, right? So STEM fields are in high demand, obviously, for to potential employers. So
yeah, so there's really great opportunities for kind of minimizing your expense for income here, and it's really affordable. I'm a parent. I have 6 kids that have gone through university, and one of the things that is always an important consideration is cost, and that's just something that I don't think you can go wrong with what we got. But that's not my role. I don't want to talk to you about money too much because it's a little outside my scope. But so all of our classrooms, labs are all equipped with the most current tools and technology that you would expect to see within the workforce. And as you kind of progress through the degree program, we introduce more tools and get you to be as proficient as we can before you leave here. And I think if you have the opportunity to talk to some folks that employ our graduates, you'll find that they all are very well positioned when they leave here. We have 2 student-led clubs here. One's a cyber defense club, one's a digital forensics club, and they do participate in a variety of different competitions throughout the year. They also, both of those clubs, run our annual cybersecurity conference, which is called BloomCon. They're primarily responsible for all of the demonstrations and finding vendors. It's a student-run regional cybersecurity conference that's well attended every year, 300 or 400 participants every year. So that's a great opportunity for students to both network and get some real practical experience. And then the other information kind of speaks for itself, right? This program, as I mentioned, was born out of computer science and mathematics, and it's a very unique program. And it does a really good job of making sure that you have all the information that you're going to need to have when you leave here. Basic coursework. We offer a couple of 2 classes in different file systems. We look at FAT file system and NTFS. That's our Files 1 and Files 2 courses that you take your freshman year. And then other things like Introduction to Network and Security Fundamentals. And we have a course where we just specifically teach you about some proprietary digital forensic software. We try to make sure that you have proficiency in 2 of them, which is EnCase and Forensic Toolkit. You do some cell phone forensics, and then the rest of the stuff that's there is electives that you can take, from network investigations to malware forensics and pen testing, and we have e-discovery and a cybercrime class, and they're all there, so you get to do some specialization as you kind of move through that as well. All of our students are encouraged to take do internships. You can do, I think, as many as you want, but typically our students who do more than one do one in their junior year and one in their senior year. And the reason that they do that is it's a great opportunity to get a job. And it's also a really good opportunity to see if what you think you're interested in, you're really interested in when you go out into the real world and you start doing it. Sometimes you realize that, hey, maybe digital forensics isn't exactly what I wanted. Maybe I'm more interested in incident response or malware analysis or risk tape things. So I encourage my advisees to do two. You can get credit for one internship, 3 credits as part of your digital forensic elective. And then the other one would just, if you do more than one, then they go as kind of like general electives or those kinds of things. So lots of opportunity. We have, I think on the next page, a list of some of the places. Yep, sorry.
I'm sorry, Dr. Stone. Yeah, we had a question. Can you go back to the coursework page real quick? So great question from Scott here. Is there an opportunity to steer the degree toward risk analysis / cybersecurity?
Yep. So after you get through the 2 files courses, files 1, files 2, and you do the networking class and the security fundamentals class, then you can start taking electives. All of our electives are 300 and 400 level courses, so you got to get through some of the 200 level courses. But once you get there, that's where you kind of craft your expertise or the area that you want to be an expert in. And through the selection of the electives, right? So if you are interested in cybersecurity, you can do things like uh, secure system design and administration, cybercrime. Penetration testing would be a good one because that's where you look at incident response and those kinds of things. So you kind of craft your way through your junior and senior year, focusing on that area of the discipline that you're most interested in. Does that answer your question? Or
Yeah, and I'll and Scott, if that kind of answered your question, if I had to mark, just let us know. No, and the coursework sounds so interesting. So if you're a prospective student, I know again one of the questions that we get is what is the expectation of familiarity with the subject, right? So do you expect that students have had some type of experience with these subjects in high school, or what's the the math level that students should be proficient with upon entering the program? Do you have any kind of background? What goes in your mind in terms of like what makes a good student?
Yep. So our expectation is that you don't necessarily have any expertise or any prior knowledge, because we literally take you through all the fundamental work in your freshman year, right? We are introducing you to digital forensics. We're introducing you to the way that file systems work, how Windows operating environment works, how the Linux operating environment works. So we're kind of nurturing you through that fundamental knowledge. And then as you kind of progress through the degree program, you never really escape from that. We always spiral back to the things that we taught you in files 1, files 2 as you move through your 200, 300, and 400 level classes, because one of the things that you're going to realize here is that the fundamentals kind of change as you progress through even just 4 years. Things change, right? How operating systems work and how systems are designed change. So we want to make sure we cycle back and keep you as current as possible. As far as math, yeah, we're going to require you to take 3 math classes. You're going to have to do a stats class. You're going to have to do a finite math class, and you're going to have to do discrete class math as well. Now, if you're not strong in math, that's okay, because we again, we're born out of those two programs, right? Computer science and math. We do all of our own tutoring. So if you struggle in math, you don't go to the university for tutoring. You come to the College of Science and Technology, specifically the Math and Digital Forensics Department, and we tutor you. And our tutors are students who have gone through the courses, so they know what the expectations are, and they can help you get through that. So we've kind of taken the role of having high expectations, but also putting in the necessary things to make sure that you're successful here. Some students struggle with math, and that's okay. With you and your advisor, develop a plan to get you through them, and that involves tutoring, then tutoring it is. We also offer a learning community here where you get put in with a bunch of other digital forensics if you live on campus and you all occupy 1 or 2 floors of a particular dorm, and that gives you opportunity to kind of have more exposure to your peers, and you can learn through your peers. And I mentioned it earlier that there are two clubs on campus. I know a lot of students also go to the club meetings where they also get informal tutoring from students that are, that are juniors and seniors, because it is a really tight knit major where they do spend a lot of time together, and they are more than willing to help each other, which is really great because, you know, you only see your faculty members during classes and if you go to their office hours and everything, but you're going to have a lot of time to do your homework and to do case projects and those kinds of things. And it's nice to be able to talk to people who've already gone through the course and can help you, understand what the expectations are, and how to kind of jump over those hurdles. So you're not, it's a big program, but we're not so big that you can get lost in it, right? There's always lots of opportunities for you to be successful. The challenge is just being willing to step out and kind of ask for that help, because it's not, it does require you to participate in your own education a little bit there. So um,
So, Dr. Steiner, and I'm sorry
yep.
to ask all the question with the courses. So you mentioned the study or the organizations and the clubs. What does involvement look like? Like, what are some of the activities? Because we hear a lot about, you go to college, oh, we have, 300
Yep.
clubs and organizations for you to get involved. I mean, at CU Bloomsburg, there's 225. Like, among those clubs and organizations are going to be the academic ones, which is some of the ones that you referenced here, which is, I guess you would probably categorize like being co-curricular. What are some of the things that students involved in the clubs and orgs with digital forensics and cybersecurity, like what are they doing? What is
Yep.
like
So
club membership?
these clubs actually do a lot of. So I mentioned that they run the BloomCon conference, which is a great opportunity. But they also both of them, they all meet together and they do a lot of competitions. Right now, I'm the coach for one of the Capture the Flag competitions that they're in. So it's a national competition on um, capture the flag. It's basically break or hacking into computers and trying to find certain artifacts that allow you to progress through the competition. They also do digital forensics competitions where they try to solve a series of cases. And again, these are national types of competitions. They go to conferences. They every year go out to GERCON, which is a conference that's in Michigan or Minnesota or someplace. They all travel out together. So 30 or 40 of them will, rent a bus, and they go out for a 2-day conference with one of the faculty members. So it is very much, a student-led organization that also they meet weekly. And they take topics that people are interested in, and then a student will teach a topic. For instance, they did a little tutorial, I think, the other day on, I think it was something to do with Bluetooth hacking, where they looked at how that can be done. Um, and then a student taught their peers how to do it. So what they try to do is find topics that are outside of the curriculum that students are just interested in, because it's impossible for us to teach everything. So this is one of those ways that students have decided to enhance their education by saying, "Hey, you know what? We'll learn about it and we'll share it with our peers." And they meet in our classrooms. We have 2 dedicated teaching labs on campus, and they'll meet in there, and 30 of them will come together, and they'll spend a couple hours on a Tuesday or a Thursday night each week, and just go through and learn how to do things that maybe they're interested in and we don't specifically teach about. So it's really it's kind of unique. I've never actually seen it function like that other than here, and the students take great pride in it. They really really like those clubs.
In one of the things that you mentioned on the previous slide was, some of the course embedded projects. What are some of the projects that students might be engaging in class? Like, what are some of the hands-on things? Like, this seems like a very high, like there's probably a certain amount of theory, but there's probably a high amount of, practice involved in the class.
Yep. So I'll just relate to what I do. So right now, I'm teaching the capstone course. The capstone course is uh, basically centers around 3 cases that they do over the semester. And there's very little, there's actually not much teaching that goes on in that class. So the students are given a scenario, and they're given the evidence, and then they spend 6 weeks, or I think I give them about 5 weeks to go through and process the evidence, and they have to write a report, and the report is turned in, and I obviously read them and grade them. But then they have an hour and 15 minutes where I will bring them in groups of three, and they will give what we refer to as oral testimony, where I ask them questions about what they found and how they found it, and the practices that they went through to get that. And it's all presented orally. They have to be able to talk about not only what they did, but how they did it and why they did it, and how it relates to the case pattern. And that's what I was doing tonight before I came here. Is they're in the midst of their testimony for their second case, and students are expected to, they dress up as though they're going to go to court, and it's a very formal process. And they, as much as they get tremendous amount of anxiety and they're nervous about it, this is the culminating activity for them, so there's a lot of stress on them, but it's good for them, because that kind of gives them a taste of what it's like to be not just clicking on buttons and generating reports, but understanding what they're doing. I teach the software course. The software course takes two proprietary pieces of software, NCASE and FTK, and we spend half the year going through case studies. Where I provide them evidence. I teach them how to use the tool, how to make the tool work in a way that can provide them evidence. And then they do a case study, and they do 3 or 4 case studies for each tool. And at the end, they're proficient. You're not an expert, but you're proficient at the tool. So that's all hands on. And I spend the rest of my time, I teach the introductory courses. And you're right, I don't spend a lot of time lecturing. I like to use an open source tool, and let's just start looking at evidence files, and let's start working our way through and seeing about file structure by actually looking at forensic images. And it's, to me, I'm a tactile learner. I like to touch and I like to explore, and I just think it works better, and students just kind of enjoy it that way, I think.
Yeah, and so we've hit a couple important key takeaways. So, among them being, you don't have to have prior experience in the subject matter in order to do well in this program. In fact, it's almost the expectation you haven't had any prior experience will teach you that. It works well for students who are hands-on and are engaged learners. And it's really, it's again a cross between computer science and criminal justice. So if you're trying to kind of like frame this program and think about, okay, how can I explain this? Or, I'm judging if this is the right field for me. Those are some of the outcomes that might help you make your decision. And Dr. Snyder, there are some good questions here in the Q&A. First one is, are there any certificates implemented into the program?
So you had the opportunity to get 2 CompTIA certifications. We tied them to our network class, Digital Forensics 275, and our security fundamentals class. So successfully completing those, what we do is we give you the opportunity to take the CompTIA Network Plus or the CompTIA Security Plus after you do those courses, and we will either be able to provide you a discount, CompTIA certification, test vouchers, and occasionally, depending on who hands them out, sometimes they're free because we forget to collect them, and that's usually me, where we're supposed to give discounted ones. And sometimes I just forget to collect the money for them, and you just get free certification. And that's a free certification test voucher where you still have to pass the CompTIA certification in order to get those. But those are the 2 primary ones that we do. We don't offer any as it relates to digital forensics, because the majority of certifications right now that we could offer would be product based. So like NCASE has their certification and FTK has their certification. And we just don't realistically feel that you would know enough about the tools to be successful in the certification, because it just takes time, right? You not only need to understand a lot about the tool, but you got to understand how to use the tool. So, realistically speaking, we just don't have enough time to get you to that level of expertise with those tools in order for us to make sure that you're successful. And we want you to be successful. So generally speaking, you go to work for an organization that uses a particular forensic tool, you can get the certification through them, and they'll pay for it, and they're not terribly expensive. But from our perspective, it just doesn't make sense to try to push you into those right now.
Mhm. Okay, great, thank you. For transfer students, is the coursework similar to what my classmates would be doing, or would it be a little different?
For students who transfer in, not I don't want to talk about how like your gen eds and that kind of thing come in, because I don't want to misquote, but you will, if I'm understanding the question correctly, you're going to take the exact same courses that everyone else takes. You'll just primarily focus on major related courses where you will have um, a little bit more of a streamlined um, path, where you're going to primarily do digital forensics and the related courses that we ask you to complete for that. I will say, though, the majority of the transfer students that I advise, they will leave here with the digital forensics degree and a minor, because they have opportunity. They have the chance and they have the time to pick up a minor. And I would say a large portion of our students end up minoring, whether it's in technical writing, criminal justice, a language. A lot of them minor in a language. And business as well is another area that has a lot of that I see a lot of DF minors being completed as well. So transferring in is great. You can certainly um, jump right into the coursework. That's not going to be an issue. But if you're my advisee, I'm going to push you to minor, at least one. I just advised a kid today who's doing 3 minors, which was to me mind blowing. But that's the kind of students that we get. They're very they know what they want to accomplish while they're here, and why not do 3 minors? Why not do 2 majors? Because it doesn't cost you any more other than effort and time. And once you get into it and you realize that this is what I want to do, then you do everything you can to make yourself the most attractive prospective employee as you can while you're here.
Yeah, and the reality is you want to maximize your time while you're in school. You're only going to be there for like you have this 1 4-year window of opportunity to get
Right.
prepared that you want to make the most of it. No, that's a great
And
point.
it's really easy to do here because the programs are all large, have they're built with some general electives and those kinds of things. So it is really easy to minor here
Mhm.
across a variety of different disciplines. And I just, I, I just think it's so important for you to recognize that and take advantage of it. So.
No, I would agree. Let's see here. Are the internships typically done during the school year or during the summer?
So most of them do it during the summer. We do offer summer sessions. If you're doing it for credit, then we usually run them during the summer because it's just easier for you to do it. There are requirements about the number of hours that you have to work in order to get the 3 credits if you're going to get it for a 3-credit DF elective. And it also gives you the opportunity to do it in different locations, right? You're not bound to Bloomsburg if you take it during the semester. During the summer, you can kind of move around, and we have students do some really great internships. You can see that they're listed here. NSA, FBI, Department of Homeland Security are all scooping up our students for internships, and then more importantly, they're getting jobs afterwards, which is really great. And then they also do a lot of, and this is not the full list. There's actually quite a few, many more. But lots of cell companies, cell phone providers, cell service providers are picking up people, but also other ones. We got some employees or some students who did internships at like Bass Pro Shop and things that you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, they have a cybersecurity or digital forensics presence, but they do. So there's lots and lots of opportunities to do internships. It really is your opportunity to figure out, well, do I want to work in this industry or that industry, and then just go out there and do it and find an internship. So most of
Yeah,
them are doing it in the summer.
my guess would be that basically any company that engages in e-commerce in any degree is probably going to have a cybersecurity division, or is probably going to contract with firms that provide this service.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's really wide open as to where you can do an internship. So that's
Yeah,
always an exciting opportunity.
and sorry, Dr. Snyder, do you have some follow-up questions on
Sure,
the
sure.
internships? Can you talk about what students actually do in the internships and not just where they do internships?
Yep.
That's
So the internships are, so from our perspective, from on our end, we require students to do internships that are related to obviously digital forensics cybersecurity. As far as what they do, It really depends on the organization that you work for. They have the opportunity with the student. So ideally, this is how it works. We identify a location that you want to do an internship from. You, your the site manager or the manager that you would be working for at the organization and the faculty members sit down and say, these are the things that we would like to have come out of this internship. They're they it's not an opportunity for you to get coffee and file paperwork. We want you to be engaged in digital forensics and cybersecurity activity. So that's the primary concern for us when we decide that you're going to do an internship and set it up, is that it has to be meaningful and it has to relate to the topics that the program have. Um, so it's hard for me to specifically say what they do because it really depends on where they go and what they want to get out of it. I've had students who work for insurance companies and do, incident response and disaster recovery, or do internships for insurance companies and do that. I had folks that did internships at like T-Mobile and they looked for illegally cloned devices, and so that was kind of neat. And then I had some that worked for VirtualBox, and they worked on security controls around the product VirtualBox. So it just really depends on what organization you work for and really what you're interested in. I don't know that I can give too much more specifics about that.
Mhm.
But that's kind of the way that we crafted. I had students who wanted to do internships at organizations and they didn't have a good description and they didn't have a good job. And we just said, this is probably not the best place to do it. Let's go find something else that's better for you, because it's a learning experience, but it's also an opportunity for you to really get your head around what is this what I want to do when I leave here,
Mhm.
and filing papers and getting coffee and that kind of thing is not
Yeah.
going to help you figure out
And
if this is the right thing for you.
that's the value of good advisors, and
Yeah.
having faculty who have worked in the field. They kind of, you all know what you're looking for, um and what's in the best interest of the students. I mean, for the, if you're a student, this is, other than where you go to college and what you're going to study, the next big hurdle is like, man, how am I going to get prepared for life after graduation? And it's too important to leave it to a Google search. It's too important for that,
Yeah, and it is as many job openings as there are for digital forensics and cybersecurity. The first job is the hardest job to get,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
That's the barrier that you got to break. And there's no better way of getting that first job than having a really positive internship experience, because it is a 6 week, 7 week job application for a lot of students. The employer gets the opportunity to see you, to interact with you, and decide if they want you to be part of their team. And that's why we're so careful and we're so diligent about making sure that the internship sites are what they need to be, right? It's not just getting 120 hours or whatever it is to get the 3 credits. It's about, let's make sure that this is meaningful and it gives the students the opportunity, if the opportunity exists, to get a job out of it or a recommendation out of it. And that's to me is way more important than the 3 credits that we'll give you for doing it. So
Yep, absolutely. Are there opportunities for students to get a minor in other related fields? In fact, this is something you were already talking about, Dr. Snyder. And I know, are there any other ones that you would recommend? I know, foreign language is one that came up frequently. You can criminal justice might be one, IT might be. Is there anything else that you frequently see or that would make kind of a powerful combination?
yep. So um, foreign language. We have an ITM major, which students kind of migrate to, which is information technology management. I've got lots of students who do the CJ minor. Technical writing is a big one. That's a big portion of that cybersecurity domain anyway, is to be able to write reports in an effective way. But I encourage students to do things like psychology and sociology and business, because if you're going to work outside of the government, right, non-law enforcement role, you need to understand business, because a lot of what goes on within an organization is business driven. As much as we hate it, cybersecurity is driven by business goals as well. So business minors, accounting, there's a fraud investigation minor that's out there and is pretty popular. You got to do a little bit of accounting with that. So those are the things that there's that you can pick up that complements the degree nicely. There is no wrong minor, though. I want to make sure you realize that, because even if you did a minor in art, um, there will be and there are roles of how art can can be counterfeited and those kinds of things that are cybersecurity related, right? So there's no bad minor. It really depends on two things, I think. What are you interested in, right? What are you interested in? What are you inquisitive about? And what's your backup plan? Because many times your backup plan is that minor that if you get into digital forensics and you work there for 10 years and you're looking for a change, hey, I've got a minor in accounting. I'm gonna become an accountant. So that's how I kind of work with students on it.
Do you see many students with a double major if they come in with AP courses or dual enrollment? So I
Yeah,
guess also the other question is basically, is it possible to do a double major with the
yeah,
program?
absolutely. Lots of students do, I won't say a lot, but a fair percentage do dual majors. Most of the time that I've seen it, it's a dual major in criminal justice. It just complements the degree really nicely. Um, some do. I don't know. I would say I've seen a couple do computer science, but that's two really heavy tech degree programs to do at the same time, and they're just a lot of work. And I'm not saying that CJ isn't. I have my bachelor's degrees in criminal justice, and I have a dual in accounting, right? So I tried to pick two that um, complement each other. I'm sorry, I think my dog is barking, but uh, so you can do it. It's not hard to do. Again, the only thing it is you have to choose wisely on your to work through both at the same time. You don't want to end up in your senior year and your junior year only focusing on one degree program.
Yeah.
And you probably couldn't do that anyway because the prerequisites and those kinds of things. So absolutely doable. You just got to kind of think about it before you jump into it. And you got to start early, right? You got to kind of decide a little bit earlier than your minor.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. What are some of the other majors that you would recommend if a student wants to double major? I think again that question was asked a little bit ago.
Primary. Yeah, you could choose any because there wouldn't be any that's wrong, but you want to make sure that it's kind of diverse, right? You don't. I don't necessarily wouldn't necessarily recommend I'm sorry, computer science and digital forensics. I think they're too close, right?
Yeah.
Choose something that's a little bit give you a little bit diverse background, a little bit wider.
Yeah, kind of provide some perspective. If I have a CompTIA Network Plus certification, would I be able to receive credit for any classes without taking the class?
So here's how we work that. So for those two certifications, Security Plus and Network Plus, you can have the opportunity to do what they refer as kind of test out. And the way that works is you have to pass a written examination, and then you do a series of labs. And as long as you pass those, then everything is, then you're given what I think it comes in as a pass fail. So you just get a pass for the course. So it's almost like a transfer credit. Doesn't impact your GPA, but it gives you the credit for the course, if that makes sense.
Does Bloomsburg's Career Services Department offer interview opportunities for internships and full-time employment, or do most students obtain internships and jobs via their own job searches?
So the career services does, I do believe they kind of help you tune up your resume, and they also give you the opportunity. They might do like mock interviews and those kinds of things. But most of our students work inside this College of Science and Technology. They work with the faculty to identify the sites, and I review resumes just like all the other faculty to help you get those tuned up. So I guess the answer to your question is, yeah, the university offers services to help you, but to identify internship sites and get the internship is largely a coordinated effort between you, your advisor, and your favorite faculty member, I guess.
Great. All right, go ahead. I think we're good to move on.
We're good.
Yep.
So good career options, and this is again just a small example. There's actually a website. If you go to a website that's called cyberseek.org, cyberseek.org. This gives you a really good look at career opportunities across the United States in the form of a heat map. I would encourage you to go. It lists all the job opportunities within a particular state and major metropolitan areas. That will probably give you a far better look at the career options that are available for anybody that's interested in this space, along with some other valuable information about types of certifications that people are looking or organizations are looking for, what you would do within different disciplines or different domains. So there's no shortage of career options and opportunities. Just depends on what you're interested in. But if you go to that cyberseek.org, that's probably going to give you a better look at what you're looking at, at your options as well. Great job growth projected. This has been consistent for 15 years. It probably is not going to change. It's a great degree program. It's a great career opportunity, and it's one that you're going to be able to do for as long as you want to work. And you will always find some new things that are interesting for you to do. So they got that career growth kind of opportunity for you. So that's that. And then any more questions or things that you want to talk about, happy to discuss those.
Yeah, and we did have another question. What makes Bloomsburg stand out in cybersecurity and digital forensics? And that's a very succinct and tremendous question.
I'll try to answer it in the most unbiased way possible. I think that this is the third university that I've worked at. This is my 21st year teaching. I think that, and I purposely came here. I left when my prior job, I was actually director of a master's degree program in cybersecurity. I came here because the program is really well built. It really does take students through the fundamental concepts all the way to those more nuanced levels, higher level courses. It's a great curriculum. It does expect a large amount of hands-on function. You're not going to be able to just coast through these classes because you got to do it. Not only just know it, but do it. And I think that the university makes a really good investment in this program. We've got dedicated space. We got, really close-knit, both faculty, community that kind of work together to make sure that we're offering the best program. And, the program's growing, and the university recognizes that, and there's going to be some significant impact as far as, new opportunities and new spaces for us to work in. So it is a really good program, and I'm not just saying that, but it is a really good program, and I don't know how I can unbiasedly describe it any other way than that. Our students are successful. If you go on to LinkedIn and you do a search for digital forensics Bloomsburg University, which is what we used to be, and most of our alumni go by that way, you will see that our students are employed in some really great places, and there's a lot of alumni out there.
Yeah, and I think Dr. Snyder, one of the things that I would like to mention here in this case is, again, designated as a National Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Defense Education. That is a mouthful, but you don't have to take our word for it, right? You don't have to take Dr. Snyder's word for it. It's typically ranked in the top 10 in the country. I think last year was 4th in the nation. I think those are two outside accolades that speak to to how good this program is. So now this is something that the Cyber Defense Education Award, can you explain kind of more about what that means and why that would be important to a prospective student?
Yep. So this is a competitive scholarship that's offered through the Department of Defense, and generally you get it during your junior and senior year. You apply for it prior to your junior year, and basically the award is given to a student 2 years in a row in exchange for service afterwards. I think there's a 4-year commitment or something like that, 4 or 5 year commitment to a department within the Department of Cybersecurity. We have consistently had 2 or 3 students each year get this award. Now, this isn't a national scholarship, so it's every school that is a center of academic excellence students are eligible for it. So it's competitive. So we usually get in the unit at Bloomsburg, we get about a dozen students that apply for it, and then they're evaluated internally before we send those names to national competition on names and obviously their application packet. So I don't think last year we had anyone apply, but I know that in the previous 5 years that I was here, we always had at least 2 students that got the award.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things too to keep in mind is, again, the classrooms, the labs, the university has made a significant investment in this program. This is one of the programs that puts, CU Bloomsburg on the map. When you think of Bloom, this is one of the things that comes to mind first. right, is, this and, some of our other academic programs or, aspects of campus, but this is a big part of kind of our identity as an institution. I guess I would call this like a tent pole program. And I think, the fact that the program was built really from the ground up with based on the demand that the field needed, I think ensures the fact that this program is going to appropriately prepare students for, for life after graduation too.
Yep. So one of the things that was nice is this is probably not as interesting to anyone as it sounds to me, but we're going to hire 3 new faculty members for the fall, because our program is growing, and the university, that's a big investment for the university to go on and give us 3 spots to fill for next year, which is really great, because it lowers our student to faculty ratio, so there's less students for each of us to advise, so we can give a little bit more personal attention, but we also get to bring in new subject matter experts as well. So
what does the one award provided by the DoD?
Yep. So it's a lump sum. So it's money. It is. I want to say the number 24,000 comes to mind. It might be $12,000 a year, but it's 2 monetary awards for each year, and I know that it's enough to cover tuition as well as room and board and extra. So it is a substantial award. I just don't have the dollar amount top of mind to say it, but it more than covers the cost of attending Bloomsburg University.
Great question here. Is it possible to be a student athlete and also be enrolled in the digital forensics and cybersecurity program?
Yep, lots of students are student athletes in the program. It takes a little bit more planning, because you have to kind of plan around your practices and your games, but it's absolutely doable. And also, if I'm not mistaken, you get assigned both a digital forensic cybersecurity advisor, faculty member advisor, but you also have an advisor that I think comes from the athletic department, which helps you figure out your schedule as well. So there's investment here, right? You're coming here, you're on a team. We don't expect that you're going to be able to navigate it by yourself, so you get extra advisement to make sure that you have the opportunities to get all the courses that you need. So it just takes a little bit more work to get that schedule put together.
Yep. And then similarly, is it possible to be enrolled in the honors college as well as be involved in the digital forensics?
Yeah, we have a lot of students in the honors program that do that now. The only, again, the honors program is some additional coursework that you do. You take some honors related programs, but again, all very doable. You get an honors advisor and you have a digital forensics advisor, and you just work together to figure out your schedule and make it work for you. So yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any information on the earning potential, both, I guess immediately after graduating and maybe for students who might be further removed from the, from college?
Yeah, I think that, well, if you go to cyberseek.org, that'll give you a good range. So it's good money, right? There's no one, depends on where you go, you're going to make a substantial amount of money really early in your career. And then depending on, how you navigate your career, you're going to make a lot more. Oh, all right. So lots of students leave here making more money than I make right now. So that's, that's, I guess, the nature of what it is. I gave up money for flexibility, but, I would say that it's above national average on starting salary. I can say that fairly without having to name a dollar amount.
Let me say this, it's going to be on the higher scale, certainly much more towards the higher scale of the spectrum when it comes to, first jobs outside of college. And because of the demand in the field, and because frankly, just supply and demand, right? There's not enough people that can do this. You can expect that your earning potential will be like the ROI on your degree will be extremely high. It's a fairly lucrative field. So, I think, you can count on being able to live fairly comfortably. Yeah, and again, a lot of it probably is going to be dictated by where you live too. If you're living in Arlington, Virginia, they're probably going to have to pay you more if you're living in that area, where you're compared to if you're living in, another part of the country where the cost of living is going to be more inexpensive. But
Right.
those are all great questions. You're asking the right questions. Everyone clearly that's here has done their due diligence.
Yeah, I was just trying to check and see if cyberseek.org had dollar amounts, and they don't provide salary. But you're absolutely right. It is at the higher end of the salary scale, whether you're a novice or you're um, a more seasoned veteran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely here. Are tests also hands-on learning? Like
Yeah,
exams?
so mine are. I don't know that everybody's is, but mine are. I do my tests kind of split. So you have to test is practical, and then the other half is knowledge based or theory based. So mine are, but not everybody does it that way. Some just do hands on for portions of it. Some do knowledge based exams. But I can guarantee you, every single course has practical application exams or assignments or projects in them. But I like to make you do it as
Yeah.
well as be able to reiterate it for me. So,
Are there any labs for penetration testing?
yep. I think the entire class is lab based. I don't know that he does a tremendous amount of lecturing in there. I think it's all practical application. Experiential learning is what we call it, right? Talk about something, do it. Talk about something, do it. That's a 300 level course, so I would expect that the large portion of it is probably practical based anyway.
Mm-hmm. Great. So I see we got through all of our questions. Again, everyone, really appreciate everybody hanging in there. Let's see. Oh, is there assistance for students like study groups, professor office hours? Is the
Yep.
environment supportive among the students?
Yep.
That's a great
So
question.
yeah, all of our faculty have office hours. We have I have office hours for every day that I'm on campus. So which is a requirement for all faculty. There's the learning community, which is you live with students in the program, so they have a study space within the dorm. We have tutoring, so that's available, and then the clubs are also study opportunities because you will find a lot of information is shared between students during that club activity. So yeah, absolutely, there's that support is there.
Excellent. And when can fall 2024 students start applying for Bloomsburg scholarships? That's a great question. So that's one I can take. So students who are applying for the fall of 2024, merit scholarships that are awarded through the admissions office are things you're considered for upon admission. So once you've been admitted, you'll receive, if you qualify for scholarships, and if you go to commonwealthu.edu/value, you'll see a list of our scholarship ranges. And it's very simple, based on your high school, if your GPA is this, you'll get this amount in scholarship dollars. On top of that, then there is the cost scholarship, which again, the CU Thrive in STEM scholarship program that I had mentioned earlier. Now that is partially based on need, so you would have to have a FAFSA on file, and as you're probably aware of, the FAFSA will not be available to the middle of December this year. So that would be the next scholarship that's kind of on the horizon, so to say. But normally you are aware of your scholarship opportunities in terms of merit scholarships very shortly after you apply and gain admission. It's a great question. Let's see. Yeah, thank you. Can you get an in-person tour of the department?
Probably, I guess.
Yeah, no. So and sorry, actually, that's one I can probably take. So I know during our open house events and accepted student day events, I know typically the digital forensics faculty will host a follow-up session. So that's probably the best opportunity for for something more program specific. Yeah, that's a great question. And it may or may not be Dr. Snyder, it might be, one of the other team members who's providing that. But this is good. I mean, if you're a prospective, if you're in high school right now, you're looking to transfer, this is a big decision. So I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. You're going to make a better, more informed decision by attending events like this. So if anybody has any questions for Dr. Snyder or myself, please do not hesitate to contact us. We work for you, and we are happy to do so. So again, thank you for joining us tonight, whether you're watching live, you're watching the recording. We look forward to hearing from everybody in the future, and hope everybody has a great night.
Thank you very much.